All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome if you are new here. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and thank you as always for waiting patiently for the intro to finish up there. Hope everybody is doing well today. Luna's doing well, clearly. Oh, hold on, I gotta hold on. All right. I know. I'm sorry. Boss got boss got very upset. He's like, why am I not in the room? Why'd you shut the door on me? He's here. But yeah, we have some really interesting topics to go over and talk about today, guys. We are talking about a possible PlayStation show of some kind that it seems highly likely, honestly, that something's going to happen. We were talking a little bit about this yesterday, but I was not convinced. But some other stuff has kind of popped up, and it's like, all right, we might be looking at something. So we're talking about a potential PlayStation show, whether it be a showcase or state of play happening the first week of December, or the first week and a half or so of December. And we're also going to be talking about a new interview that Phil Spencer did where he revealed some pretty interesting stuff. Maybe not the most shocking to a lot of people, but clearly we are seeing a further shift in Microsoft's strategy. He talked about, PlayStation ports and what we can expect there. He talked about further acquisition. He did talk about an Xbox handheld as well. So we're going to talk about that stuff too. And yeah, we'll just kind of take it from there and see where it goes. But yeah, again, appreciate you guys being here. I have a super chat from Anime for Entertainment. He says, "Oh man, I really hope we're getting something on December 3rd. We need to know what Sony is working on. And I think now is the perfect time." Yeah, I agree with that, Anime for Entertainment. When it comes to the timing of when Sony should do something, I don't think it gets any better than your 30th anniversary. You know what I mean? You could do it before, you could do it after, and that's fine. But when it comes to the timing, yeah, the 30th anniversary is the time to do something. And we'll dive deep into that conversation momentarily, Anime for Entertainment. And thank you for the super chat. And so, yeah, guys, listen, before we dive deeper into these topics and these discussions, I want to ask you to please hit the like button. If you enjoy the streams, if you enjoy the content, hit that like button. I also want to let you know a couple of ways you can fund the channel. We are fan funded here. I can only do these streams and keep running the channel the way I do because of you guys. So consider becoming a channel member. Consider gifting memberships. We're striving for a goal of 25. If we hit 25, we will feed the beast and the micro panther. Also consider dropping a super chat like Anime for Entertainment. Ask a question, give an opinion, make a statement, anything in between. And there's also a direct donation link pinned at the top of the chat as well, which basically acts like a super chat, but 100% of what you donate goes towards the content creator. So thank you so much to everybody who supports the channel and supports the streams. I simply could not do it without you guys, and I mean that. But with that out of the way, let's dive into this here. So, all right, I have an article here, and I read this in my video, but I'll bring it up one more time. Fans are convinced the next PlayStation event was teased by Sony. Sony just published a new PS5 ad on its YouTube channel, which we did talk about yesterday. But as we also mentioned, it was pointed out that an ad flashes 3/12/2024, which means December 3rd, 2024. That is the 30th anniversary of PlayStation. And so naturally, just because of that, people are thinking, I wonder if Sony's teasing something here. But what I found interesting is I came across this new thread on the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit, and it says, this was actually posted 3 hours ago, and it kind of it recounts all of the rumors that we got. So PlayStation rumor December showcase rumors breakdown. Number one, Tom Henderson. There will be a PlayStation showcase, quote, towards the end of the year, end quote. The date that was posted, May 30th, 2024. Tom Henderson again. The leak suggests, or this is the full quote. The leak suggests that Horizon X Lego game, which would arguably be the event's biggest announcement. This is again back in June or May. Will not be shown. Presumably, such an announcement will be saved for Summer Game Fest or June or the PlayStation showcase towards the end of the year. And so, we got to be careful with this one. Tom Henderson is the first one referenced here because he's the most reliable, but it doesn't sound like he was coming out and straight up saying there will be an event. However, there is a second insider here, Shinobi602. We've talked about him a little bit. Shinobi602, he says that Sony currently has multiple big games from first-party teams scheduled for 2025. That's what he said on June 10th, 2024. He also said there's a few big ones that I know of in addition to Death Stranding 2 set for next year, assuming there's no delays. And then he also said, because people were asking, like, is he referencing like third-party exclusives like Stellar Blade or Rise of the Ronin, like similar games? And he says no, those games are great and they are AAA, but he was referring to major first-party stuff. And then most recently, Kirikasis, another insider who I don't know how good their track record is, he said that we're going to be seeing Wolverine very soon. And he said that it could be at some kind of unannounced PlayStation event. And then the new ad appears, teasing December 3rd, 2024. But the most significant, well, let me just read this here. It says several people mentioned that December 3rd is the date of PlayStation's 30th anniversary. So it's very possible it could just be a reference to that. However, that doesn't dispel the possibility of a special showcase happening on the day of PlayStation's 30th anniversary. Sony used to have the PlayStation Experience events in December from 2014 to 2018. It's possible they'd want to bring it back. They did register a new trademark for PlayStation Experience 3 years ago. And as some pointed out, and to me this is the most significant thing, PlayStation did do a state of play in December 2019. Now, here's what's interesting. What's interesting is that when we talk about Sony doing an event in December, well, in 2019, Sony celebrated their 25th anniversary, and the 25th anniversary state of play, I mean, it wasn't like a themed state of play, but they did it on December 10th. The Game Awards is happening on December 12th this year. The only other time the Game Awards occurred on December 12th and not the first week of December was in 2019. And it seems like the reason why that happened was because of Sony's state of play. And in this state of play, they celebrated the 25th anniversary. They had Ken Kutaragi talk, and they showed a new trailer for Ghost of Tsushima as well. It wasn't like a major... See, here's what's interesting. Yeah, that state of play was somewhat low key. Like Resident Evil 3 showed up, and it wasn't like over the top. So this is important to go over because if Sony is planning on doing something again, I think people do need to keep their expectations a little bit lower, in that I would not expect like a massive showcase. I don't think they're going to do that. It would be amazing if they did, and it would be quite surprising. But it seems like what might happen is Sony's going to do a state of play the week of their 30th anniversary. And in this state of play, we can maybe expect at the end of it a new trailer for Wolverine. It's also worth noting, in the 2019 state of play that Sony did, they also advertised the Game Awards. And I think they said that, we're going to be at the Game Awards too. So that's another reason why I think it's interesting that the Game Awards in 2024, PlayStation's 30th anniversary, is also happening again on the 12th. Seems like they're kind of making room. MBG PlayStation has changed a lot since then. Kind of. I don't know. I mean, that was 2019, Jim Ryan and Herman Holst were in charge still. I mean, yeah, things have changed, but I also want to throw in here that among all the things I just listed, we are also hearing from Sony's president. Like, he did put a little bit of an emphasis when talking to the shareholders. He put a little bit of an emphasis on, yeah, like, we have more games to reveal. He didn't like make it sound like he didn't hint at when that's going to happen, but he did say that we have more, or kind of hinted that they have more game reveals coming. But he also said again that starting in 2025, we're going to have new games like every year, consistently. Totokism is trimming the fat. Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But but yeah, you know, should Sony do an event for their 30th anniversary? Yeah, they should. People want it, man. People want to see Sony put the pedal to the metal. And I don't know that they're going to do that. But yeah, I would love to see Sony just fucking come out and flex and be exciting and be over the top and just kind of go big. I would love for them to come out and be like, we are doing PlayStation Experience again. That would be incredible. To see Sony just come out and be like, we're doing it for the fans. I hate that Sony doesn't do stuff like that anymore. It sucks. Like, it just really, really, really sucks. And this is like probably my biggest criticism of Sony. Not to say that the way they handle things now is the worst possible way. I think it could be worse, but it's interesting to think that back in, like, 2016, 2017, 2018, Sony was like, we want to do an event for the fans. Like, literally just for the fans, like, called PlayStation Experience. Um, that to me just sounds like something they would just like laugh at this point, which is sad. But that was such a cool thing they did. Oh, hold on. YouTube crashed again because it just doesn't stop crashing. You want Sony to keep showing love for more classic IP. The PlayStation classics are good, but there's so much to dig up for us fans and new ones. Yeah, I don't know what my expectations are for that. I mean, here's something else that's worth noting. Blue Point Games apparently is making a new IP. So recently, Jeff Grubb confirmed that the game that Blue Point is making is a new intellectual property. It's not a remake. It's not a remaster. We already knew that. But it's also not a game in an established franchise. It's something brand new. No, not Uncharted. It's a new IP, brand new intellectual property. And he did say that he thinks it might be revealed soon. So I'm like, oh, okay, all right. That's interesting. Now, here's something that I want to mention when it comes to Blue Point Games and their new IP. One of the things that Hiroki Totoki just stated in the most recent Sony earnings call is he said that they are taking a portfolio driven approach to their games and their studios. So what does that mean? Well, it means that they basically want to check off boxes. And I know that that may sound bad to some people. I guess it depends on how you view it. By checking off boxes, I mean, like, they want to cover many different genres. They want to have a diverse slate of games where it's like, we want to have, our action adventure. We want to have our shooter. We want to have our RPG. We want to have our fantasy game. They want to try to check off these boxes. And so the reason why I'm mentioning this in regards to Blue Point's new game, their new IP, is that you can probably safely assume that whatever Blue Point's working on is something a bit unexpected, something that would fill in a gap for Sony's single player that we don't currently have, something that would feel a bit fresh. Waylark, you're saying Trump winning helps Microsoft with acquisitions. Yeah, it definitely does, for sure. Microsoft's 100% going to acquire more. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. That's the next topic. Um, Everything Microsoft is doing, and I think Phil basically confirmed it. Everything Microsoft is doing is in the name of being able to secure more IP, more acquisition, and just gobble it all up. Perfect Image, you're saying IT's interesting. The CEOs are talking more. Let's see next year. Or it's, I don't know why I read that as IT's. It's, I guess, because you have the T capital. It's interesting. So you're saying it's interesting because the CEOs are talking more. Let's see what happens. Well, yeah. I mean, we are seeing a little bit more communication across the board from, all these companies going, and that's normal going into the holiday season, but also because, I mean, 2025 is expected to be a big year for a lot of these companies. Very big. So a lot is going to happen, man. Right now it feels, I don't want to say like the calm before the storm necessarily. It's not that intense, but it just kind of feels like the plans for this year were already in place, and it's kind of just about finishing out the year. And I have a feeling that come 2025, maybe even as soon as January and February, it could happen very quickly. But I think we're really going to start to see, you know, certain changes for Sony, for Microsoft. We're going to start to see some announcements and some news breaking and things that are like, oh, all right, things are ramping up again. Josh, you're saying Phil Spencer be looking like Rotten King Viserys. Dude, he does not look good in that picture, man. I'm not gonna lie, like he looks concerningly unwell in that photo. I used that photo because that was the one that accompanied the interview we're gonna go over. But yeah, man, his face is like sunken in. Um, somebody's got to check on Phil, man. He's not, and I'm not trying to be rude. I'm serious. Like I'm a little worried about the man. Like it doesn't look good. It looks. I mean, people are like making jokes that it's because he's stressed and whatnot. Somebody did say they have Phil Spencer on their friends list, and he's like up all night playing games or whatever. I'm like, yo, that would be the funniest thing ever. It's like he's all tired and worn out and exhausted because he's just like he doesn't have enough time to play games because he's too busy running Xbox gaming, Microsoft gaming. And he's like, I got to get my gaming in at night. He's playing too much. I mean, I respect it, dude. I respect it. I'm not the biggest fan of Phil Spencer, but I do respect the fact that he is actually a gamer. Like he does play games. That's pretty cool. He's hooked on Black Ops 6 multiplayer. Way like you're saying, just looks like he lost weight. Yeah, I guess it could be that too. Yeah, sometimes that does happen when people lose a lot of weight. He looks like he did lose a lot of weight though, because your face thins out. But hopefully he's all right. I mean, you know, I imagine working for Microsoft is probably one of the most stressful things in the world. Um, MBG, he spends his time running Xbox into the ground or arguing with his bosses about the death of Xbox. I mean, dude, it you could maybe infer that he this man's been like fighting for his life out here trying to convince you do. I mean, you know what? It would be interesting if like Phil was basically the only one preventing like a full takeover from the board, the higher ups at Microsoft and the CEO and whatnot to just basically just say we're doing it our way, and he's like, no, trust me, like I got to keep fighting for this. But We'll see. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try not to focus too much on that photograph of Phil because yeah, he look, dude. Somebody literally was like, bro, he looks terminally ill, and I'm like, that's. I mean, he does. Like, he looks ill, man. Like, I'm worried for the dude. Seriously, it's not good. Ozempic. You think Phil's on Ozempic? Okay, what? How did we get here, guys? Anyway, listen, listen, listen. What was I saying? We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that. Devil Shooter saying what picture? The one in my thumbnail. The one in my thumbnail. But we're gonna talk about that in just a couple of moments because I did bring it up. Yeah, that's true. But let's get back to the PlayStation show. There are absolutely people who are convinced that Sony is doing a full-blown 30th anniversary PlayStation showcase. And I'm going to say that I do not think that's happening. I do not think it's going to be a big show. I think what Sony is going to do, and I just want to put this out here because I do think there's more than enough evidence to suggest that Sony is prepping something. I think the biggest evidence is, again, the fact that they did a state of play in December in 2019. And if I'm not mistaken, they also did a state of play in September of 2019. So it just goes to show. It goes to show that Sony does do it this way sometimes. Like they'll do state of plays closer to one another than you would think. So I think that's what we're going to get. I think Sony is going to do a early December state of play. Mini Tommy saying we want a showcase. I mean, I do too. I do want a showcase, but I don't know what's going to push Sony to do a showcase. I don't. I don't know what's going to do it. I don't know if maybe they actually are done with showcases. Maybe they're only going to do a showcase when they are ready to truly like make sure that people walk away going like, holy shit, that was awesome. Which would be smart. I have to say, that would be the smart way to do it because the last showcase they did, people were very unhappy and it hurt them, I think. I don't think it helped them. I think it hurt them. So if it's like, listen, if we just got to skip showcases year in and year out until we're ready to make sure we have like a, like less showcases, but when they do them, they pop, they deliver, right? I would prefer that over like feeling like, oh, we got to make sure we do at least one a year. No, just do the state of plays. And then when you're ready for a showcase, do the showcase. That would be crazy though. Like, I mean, it's been so long. You would think that they could be ready for they should be ready for a showcase, but yeah, here's my guess. They're going to do a state of play. They're going to show some Wolverine, which would be awesome. And it'll be a pretty good state of play. Be like, wow, that was pretty good. Not bad. Exciting stuff. And then they're going to be like, and we're also going to be at the Game Awards. And then they're going to have a couple more things for the Game Awards. I think that's how they're going to do it. That's my guess. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. Lego Horizon Metacritic. Did the reviews come out today for Lego Horizon? I didn't notice. Let me see. Lego Horizon Metacritic. 70. Oh, holy shit. 72 reviews. How did I miss this? Sitting at a 70 on Metacritic. The lowest score looks to be a 5 out of 10. Huh. I would have expected it to be a little bit higher, to be honest, considering it's Lego. But the highest score is a 9 out of 10 from what I can see. Oh, the lowest scores are Wow, there's 2 4 out of 10s. That's pretty bad. Dexerto says, now having obtained the platinum, I can say with certainty the game is in no way, shape, or form worth the price of a new AAA release. From its technical issues to the confounding game design choices, it's a bizarre spin-off that won't leave Horizon fans overjoyed and won't do much to turn fresh heads to the mainline entries. Damn. Not good. Eurogamer, 4 out of 10. Too simple and childish for adults, and too one note to convert the kids. LEGO Horizon Adventures does little to recommend it to either existing Horizon fans or series newcomers. Sheesh. Let me see. Let me find some positive reviews and compare them. GameLiner gives it a 9 out of 10, saying LEGO Horizon Adventures offers a surprisingly successful combination of the world and gameplay of Horizon Zero Dawn and a LEGO game. The story is filled with dry humor and puns, so it shouldn't be taken too seriously. With a focus on missions, there's no repetitive grind. It results in a short game, but the quality and attention to detail make it worth every penny, definitely as combat and gameplay are satisfying. So it does sound like it is a very short game, but it seems like the difference is the person who gave it a 4 out of 10 feels as though it's not very high quality while being short, where the person who reviewed it and gave it a 9 out of 10 feels as though it is high quality and that's okay that it's short because the quality makes up for it. Let me see if I can find another positive review here. There's a second 9 out of 10 gaming trend. LEGO Horizon Adventures offers a playful retelling of Horizon Zero Dawn, blending the iconic story of Aloy with LEGO's signature charm, humor, and style. This isometric action adventure game simplifies the original's intense narrative, focusing on environmental themes and character relationships, providing a lighthearted, engaging experience for fans of all ages. All right, well, the reviews seem to be mostly mixed, but there are some positive ones, there are some negative ones, and I don't know. What were the expectations here? What were the expectations for LEGO Horizon? Can't say. Can't say. Kareem Ali, you're saying, hi, MBG, off topic, but did you see the secret level trailer? It's really cool, but I'm dying from the comments. They're mostly talking about Concord. I did see the trailer, and I actually didn't read the comments, but dude, I am sold on secret level. Yeah, it's absolutely cursed that Concord's going to be in this, though. It's cursed. Like, I don't know how they can't remove it. Like, they should remove it. They should. Like, it's just weird. Not only is the game non-existent at this point, but the studio that made it is dead. That's like, why are you going to keep this in there? It's just weird, man. But putting Concord aside, PlayStation, Sifu, dude, the amount of times they showed Sifu in that trailer. It seems like there's going to be a whole episode dedicated to Sifu, which is amazing. Keanu Reeves is in it. Arnold is in it, bro. I'm sold. I'm absolutely sold on this. You want to see the Concord episode? It's like, it's so good. Everybody's like, wait. It's still a part of gaming history. I guess it did leave its mark. Yeah, it did leave its mark. Not in the way that Sony thought, but yeah, it's a historic game in that sense. What if the Concord episode is amazing? I mean, I don't know. I guess in a way it will be interesting to kind of see, like, because I did see some people saying, like, I wonder what some of these vignettes were going to be, right? Like, maybe some of them would have actually been kind of good, but MBG, did you see that Resistance is coming to premium? No, I didn't see that. Um, yep. Concord broke its own records, man. It broke some records in its own way. But generally speaking, the show Secret Level looks good. All right, so I guess we did a bit of a bonus topic there, talking about the reviews of Lego Horizon. So it seems like it's not doing great. Seems like it's doing okay. I don't think I'm gonna get Lego Horizon, honestly. Like, I don't know. It's not pulling me in. It's not drawing me. I already know the story of the first game. I mean, I've been playing the remaster a little bit. Um, Probably gonna pass on that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it does. And yeah, when it comes to the PlayStation show, again, I think it's coming next month. I think it's going to be a state of play, and I think it'll be okay to good. I think it'll be pretty good. That's my hope. That's my prediction. So we do need to move on to something, though. Hold on. Okay. We have. We're gonna read the interview from Phil Spencer. All right, Microsoft's gaming chief is still looking for acquisitions, sees future growth. So, some pretty important stuff here that we're hearing. So hold on one sec. The way this all right. Phil Spencer's planning how to enter and partner in the handheld device and mobile store markets. After a tough year, Microsoft gaming chief. Hold on. I'm sorry. There's so many fucking ads popping up. All right. After a rough year, Microsoft's video gaming chief is still looking at acquisitions and charting how to compete and partner in the markets for handheld game devices and mobile stores. Deals that add geographic diversity, including in Asia, might be worthwhile, Phil Spencer said in an interview Tuesday at Bloomberg's offices in New York. Buying another mobile company would add to titles Microsoft picked up in its $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard last year, he said. We definitely want to be in the market, and we can find teams and technology and capability that add to what we're trying to do in gaming at Microsoft. Absolutely, we will keep our heads up, Spencer said. Still, there's nothing imminent, and very large deals are probably off the table at present, as the company is spending a lot of time absorbing Activision Blizzard employees, he said. Microsoft wants to diversify the teams working on games by looking more to China, he said. The company developed a new mobile version of Age of Empires, a world-building franchise that first appeared in the 1990s by partnering with Tencent Holdings. Microsoft and Tencent released the game globally in October. It's been a good area for us to learn from creative teams that have real unique capabilities, Spencer said. The real opportunity is to partner with creative teams in China for global. Waylark, you're saying crazy Xbox can be so bad. Have sales down everywhere, constantly in third place. Spend $70 billion for Activision Blizzard. COD sales down, but still talk about acquisitions. Yeah, I will say Phil seems to have made it clear. Like he was like, when it comes to big acquisitions, they're like off the table for now. But still he seems like he wants to make some kind of mobile based acquisition. Reading into it. But yeah, it is kind of nuts. I still think Microsoft probably wants to get another big one. I think Phil's not going to say that, but I think they want that. I do. But I agree, Waylark, it is pretty nuts. The executive, who has repeatedly professed his admiration for handheld game devices, said the expectation is that we would do something in that category. Although the company is working on prototypes and considering what it might do, Spencer also asked his group to look at the market and develop its vision based on what it learns. Such a device is a few years out, he said. In the coming months, designers and engineers will focus on making the Xbox app work better on existing portable devices and partnering with hardware makers to make sure their products sync with Xbox games and experiences, he said. The Xbox app right now is good rather than great on some of these gadgets. Longer term, I love us building devices, and I think our team could do more real innovative work, but we want to be informed by learning and what's happening now. So, Phil straight up confirming they are making a handheld Xbox device, but also confirming that it's a couple years away. That I think is pretty important because there were some rumors and some rumblings that it's going to be coming out as soon as next year or something like that. The company's planned online store for mobile games has been delayed as the group does additional research on the market. This is what Spencer told them. Xbox president Sarah Bond had announced the store in May with a planned release date of July, but staffers are still talking to mobile developers, including those responsible for Microsoft-owned Candy Crush and Call of Duty Mobile, to figure out a plan. As regulatory cases involving Apple's iOS and Alphabet Android mobile stores work their way through courts in various countries, Microsoft still doesn't have an effective way to get its own store on mobile phones. So a web store would mean somebody doesn't have to go into the App Store to try to install something, but you still have to have a way to find the store, Spencer said. If we're just hoping, like, if we build it, they will come, I'm going to bet that doesn't work. And DJ comes in. DJ drops 5 membership gifts for you guys. Kicking us off today. DJ, thank you so much for the support, bud. And thank you for kicking it off. Guys, let's get some W's in the chat. Let's get some W's in the chat for DJ. Good stuff, man. Let me update that and we'll continue reading this. Yeah, like I said, guys, we hit 25. We'll feed the beast. So the article continues by saying that means Xbox has to make its store unique for players and figure out what will draw content creators. At the same time, it's preparing for a world where Apple and Google mobile devices are more open to Xbox. I think the ball is moving in the right direction, Spencer said. I think the idea of open platforms where users have more choice, creators have more choice, you see the momentum, right? After releasing the first batch of Xbox games for Sony PlayStation and Nintendo Switch, Spencer is pleased with the results. Microsoft will do more of that, he said, and will not rule out any game in Microsoft's stable. Quote, I do not see sort of red lines in our portfolio that say thou must not. It's too early to make any sort of decision on the next version of Halo, end quote. Continues by saying, following the Activision acquisition, Xbox cut more than 2,500 jobs and closed 3 game design studios. With the company exiting what management calls a difficult year amid a challenging mobile game market, Spencer feels good about 2025. The Xbox business has never been more healthy, he said, citing growth in cloud and PC gaming, as well as console usage. The business is performing right now, and I think that means a more healthy future for hardware and games we build. Spencer also said he's optimistic about the growth of mobile games. I feel pretty good about where the industry is going, he said. To reach new players, we need to be creative and adaptive of new business models, new devices, new ways to access. We're not going to grow the market with $1,000 consoles. Shots fired? potentially. What are we thinking? Shots fired towards Sony? Hmm? But yeah, that is the interview with Phil Spencer. And to me, there's a few significant things here. You know, I mean, he confirms the handheld. He talks about how they're still considering more acquisitions, but the most important thing here, I would say, to extract from this is the fact that he straight up confirms what people have been spending literally a year on the internet fighting and arguing over. Okay? Um nothing nothing is off the table. I want to read a quote from Phil Spencer. This is from Zubitech. Microsoft Gaming. Hold on, let me. Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer, February 15th, 2024. So this year, this February. Quote, looking forward. So 4 games, no promise beyond that. So if you're on those other platforms and you see those 4 games coming, please don't take it as some signal that everything is coming. It's not. End quote. That was February of 2024. Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer, June 9th, 2024. Quote, our commitment to our Xbox customers is you're going to get the opportunity to buy or subscribe to the game. We're going to support the game on other screens, and you are going to see more of our games on more platforms. And we just see that as a benefit from the franchises we're building. And we see that from the players, and the players love. We see that from the players, and the players love to be able to play. End quote. Flash forward to today. And Phil Spencer is straight up saying that there's no game that's off limits coming to PlayStation. I mean, I tried telling people this in February, in March. I tried telling people this pretty much all year that, listen, if you walked away from that Xbox podcast, thinking that, like, this is it, I wouldn't do that. Jeff Grubb said, don't get your hopes up in regards to December PlayStation event. Uh-oh. Is Jeff Grubb coming in to kill our dreams? I do hope so, actually. That would be quick. I would welcome that at this point, because it's like, yeah, I'd rather know. Like, yeah, bro, it's not happening. Like, it's not real. Let me see. Let me go check. We're gonna pivot. We're gonna pivot for a second, okay? Where did he say this, by the way? I need to get the quote. Perfect Image, you're saying why Xbox and PlayStation users get mad that Xbox games come to PlayStation for years. I don't know that it's so much people getting mad as much as it's just like, as Microsoft becomes more open to putting their games on PlayStation and Switch, and now Phil Spencer's out here basically saying, like, yeah, we're not taking it. Nothing's off the table. He's talking about Halo. He's talking about Gears. I mean, he didn't say, he said, like, we didn't make a decision on Halo yet. Because, I mean, like, Halo is probably like 5 or 6 or 7 years away, dude. So it doesn't really matter. Like, he doesn't have to say anything about Halo, but he made it crystal clear. In February of this year, he said it's just 4 games, no promises beyond that. This isn't us saying everything's coming. It's not. To, within less than 1 year, you know, within just a matter of like 8 to 9 months, coming out and saying, yeah, nothing's off the table. You're going to see us do it more. It's obvious. It's very, very obvious what's happening. And this is how it was always going to happen. As soon as Microsoft saw the sales data and the money and the revenue that Call of Duty was going to make them on PlayStation, after they saw what happened with Sea of Thieves on PlayStation, it was always going to go this way. It was always going to go this way. There's money to be made, man. And I think when you talk about people being mad and argumentative, I think really what it boils down to is there are two groups of people that are basically kind of butting heads constantly. One group are people who are they're either Xbox fans, or if they're not like big Xbox fans, they are like supportive of what Microsoft is doing by releasing their games everywhere, and like they don't care about exclusivity. Those that group of individuals wants Sony to do the same thing, and they are convinced that Sony is going to do the same thing. But the other group of people that they're clashing with are mostly PlayStation fans who are not convinced that Sony's going to do the same thing. And, they're basically like, yeah, no, just because Microsoft is doing it doesn't mean Sony's going to copy and follow. Why would they do that? And we've had extensive conversations about that, but yeah, man, you could easily make the argument that Sony could make a decent chunk of change by putting Helldivers 2 on Xbox, but they are not. They will not. And I don't understand how people can look at these two things and say they're the same when they're not the same. One company is coming out and telling you, yeah, we don't have any red lines. We'll put any game anywhere. We'll put any game on PlayStation. Nothing's off limits. Another company isn't saying shit. And then every time there's a rumor that, yeah, Helldivers 2 is going to come to Xbox, it just never happens. It does not happen. It hasn't happened, and it's not happening. In fact, the most recent rumor was somebody, I think it was Special Nick, saying like, yeah, that's not happening. So I don't understand why people continue to argue as if these are the same things and these companies are in the same exact situations. They're not. It's not to say that Sony isn't also doing their own. Yeah, Sony is expanding as well. They're putting their games in other places. All right. So you're saying Jeff Grubb said that on Twitter. Oh, okay. So Pio on Twitter, he said Sony has teased the PlayStation showcase from the commercial for December 3rd. Things that can show up: God of War Collection Remastered, Death Stranding 2 release date trailer, Naughty Dog new single player IP, Santa Monica's new game, Wolverine PS5 gameplay, GTA 6 trailer number 2, Ghost of Yotei gameplay, Ben Studio multiplayer game, Blue Point's original game, third-party things like Resident Evil 9. And Jeff Grubb, somebody said, I think we're at a point now where unless Jeff Grubb says something about it, I won't get my hopes up. And Jeff Grubb simply said, don't get your hopes up. God damn it. Son of a bitch. Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you guys, man. That does it for me. To me, that is confirmation Sony's not doing an event in December, because Jeff Grubb, I do believe he would know. He is the only insider that has a direct contact in Sony that does know when Sony's doing events. Jeff Grubb is, I don't know how he has done it, but he's done it. He's the only person with a contact that knows when Sony's doing events and knows when they're not. And I mean, he said, don't get your hopes up. So I don't know, if you want to leave like 5%, 3%, like is there any chance at all? Is it just completely dead now? Is there any chance at all? I would say, I mean, The only, and this is, look, this is a stretch. This is a stretch. Maybe he didn't talk to anybody about it. Maybe what he's saying is just that he hasn't heard. I'm just trying to translate what he's saying here. Okay, I'm trying to infer what he's saying. He says, "Don't get your hopes up." Maybe that implies that he doesn't think there's going to be one, and he didn't actually look into it yet. But I don't think he would say that. I will say this: I don't think Jeff Grubb would say that without talking to his source and be like, "Hey, is Sony planning something?" And his source is like, "No." I think he wouldn't have answered the question if he didn't do that. So, well, there we have it. Shut down. Disappointed again, but at least it's quick this time. Quick and painless. Hey guys, there might be an event literally hours later. No, there's not. Oh. All right then. Well, hey, at least Sony should be at the Game Awards, right? At least there's that. Sony could do one in January though. I do want to put that out there because Sony did a big state of play in January of this year. So they might just hold it off until 2025. Well, that's disappointing. Sony announces a Ubisoft acquisition next year. Oh God, I hope not. I absolutely hope not. Please God, no. When are they starting the one single player per year thing? I don't know, man. I think they're going to be doing, I think, more than one single player game a year, but like multiple games a year. That's how they kind of framed it. Starting April 1st, 2025. I don't know what just happened. Are we still live? It's looking okay. We're good. Yeah, I was looking for a moment there, like my stream just died. All right, we're good. Sorry about that. Jeff Grubb could be talking about a showcase and not a state of play. Well, we'll see. I'm leaning towards like no, but we'll see. And Illegal Monkey comes in and drops 5 membership gifts for you guys. Illegal Monkey, thank you so much for that, bro. Let's get some W's in the chat. Appreciate the generosity, man. That brings us up to 10 members on the day. Grub on X says, I haven't heard anything about any PlayStation showcase or state of play in December. I talk about why you shouldn't expect one on Games Mess mornings. Watch or listen now. Okay. Damn. Man, I'm going to be honest. It's such a missed opportunity. If Sony doesn't do a I don't know. Like I said, I wasn't expecting a major showcase, but I just not doing anything. Did you see the list of Lunatic Ignis? No. I don't know if he's reliable at all, man. Yeah, you're right. Jeff Grubb did just post that on Twitter. All right. Damn it. Yeah, it's already being posted on the Gaming Leaks Rumor subreddit. Man, I feel like I did it again. I allowed myself to have hope. I did it again. I did it again. I told myself, I'm like, bro, it ain't happening this year. You're not getting a showcase. Just knock it off. And then the rumors started boiling up again. I'm like, but maybe. Well, I mean, Sony is still going to be at the Game Awards. So I would imagine that if they're going to do anything significant, right, that's probably where they're going to do it. I mean, Sony's had some pretty big. They've had some pretty big announcements at the Game Awards in the past. So just because they're choosing not to do their own thing doesn't mean we still don't have something to look forward to. But yeah, it's disappointing. I mean, it's disappointing just because it's their 30th anniversary, man. You know, like if there was ever a time to just do something, now would be the time to do it. Now would be the time. The Combo Clinic, longtime member, thank you for that support, man, says, so in one tweet, Grubb killed any hope for a showcase / state of play. I wasn't expecting anything anyway. We'll just have to wait for mid state of plays in March and September 2025, LOL. Yeah, I mean, look, if Jeff Grubb didn't have literally the best track record specifically for PlayStation events, I would still maybe be sitting here being like, maybe he's wrong, you know, but he is the only person. And, you know, you got to give him the credit where it's due. He's literally the only person that has called any PlayStation shows in the last like 2 years. And so the idea that he killed it in one fell swoop, yeah, I think I that's how I feel. But I mean, we'll have to just wait for those state of plays. Sony does not have to do jack shit. I mean, it's kind of true, yeah. Look, I don't want to make it sound like they didn't just have a state of play. They did. You know, it really wasn't that long ago, and they did show a new major first party reveal. So a dedicated fair game state of play on PlayStation's 30th anniversary. Cursed, bro. That is cursed. We can no. Please don't do it. All right, let me go check something else here real quick though. All right. Well, anyway, getting back to the Phil Spencer interview. He comes out here and he says there are no red lines, nothing's off limits when it comes to potentially bringing games to PlayStation. And it sounds to me like he's basically prepping people for some new announcements. My read on this is that we are going to hear about like a new batch of games, potentially as soon as next month, that are going to be coming to PlayStation. Some new, Xbox ports and whatnot. And this is where, I want to acknowledge that there's always the kind of pushback where it's like, well, Sony's doing it too. you know? Like, look, Sony just put Death Stranding on Xbox, so they're doing it too. We gave you Sea of Thieves. You gave us Death Stranding. And I get it. Um, I get it. But I think where maybe people are not being they're not being honest enough is it's like, well, let's look at the details because the devil is in the details, right? When we look at Microsoft and their approach, how does it differ from Sony's? Well, it differs in a lot of ways. What games what games of Sony's are considered, I don't want to say multi-platform because I don't know. I guess if you consider a game that's on PC multi-platform, then that, you could say a lot of their games. But let's talk about what games of Sony's have they decided to release on other consoles. Well, there's really not many. There is MLB The Show, and MLB The Show is on Xbox, and it's even on Game Pass because Sony does not have control over that. They don't have control over it. MBG for the last year, I subbed to many Xbox fanboys just for this moment. I guess you could technically say Destiny, but I'm talking about games that were actively ported. You know what I mean? Uh, on behalf, like on behalf of Sony. MLB The Show, Sony doesn't have control over. If it was up to Sony, MLB The Show would still be PlayStation exclusive. At least I believe that. Their arm was twisted by the Major League Baseball because they were like, listen, if you don't do this, we're going to take the license and we're going to give it to somebody else. And obviously that makes Sony way too much money. And really, they're not losing much. I think they understood that. You're just going to gain more. But that doesn't mean they're going to want to do that with the games that they do have control over. So there's MLB The Show. Okay, you're saying MBG, the Xbox hate here blinds people to reality and economics. Xbox is in its best position ever. They are winning in ways PlayStation dreams of achieving, and PlayStation fans are in denial about the changes they are about to see. I mean, I half agree with what you're saying, okay. The idea of Microsoft winning in ways that Sony could only dream of, I mean, again, I think that needs like further context. Xbox is only able to win in that way because their parent company, Microsoft, has the money to make it so. Sony, I guess you could technically say Sony's the parent company of PlayStation, but Sony doesn't have that type of money. So the only way in which Sony can win is the way in which they're winning now, which you could make the argument is Sony is winning. I would say Sony is winning in a way Microsoft couldn't, and Microsoft is winning in a way that Sony couldn't. They both found their own paths to victory. And we could get in the weeds of that conversation and decide, well, which one's better? Which one's more respectable? But I don't know that that matters at the end of the day. Which one's more respectable? You can decide for yourself. But I think for most people, it's just like, nah, I don't really care, And there might be some big changes. Yeah, I think there are absolutely some PlayStation players who would be in denial if Sony were to pivot their strategy and say, you know what, we are taking a very different approach. But for now, just to identify what has happened, here's what I'll say. When Microsoft in February of this year, when they said that we are going to just do 4 games and don't expect more than that, if you're expecting everything, that's not happening. And I watched that whole podcast that happened. I didn't believe anything they said. And I don't think I was blinded. I didn't believe it because I'm like, this doesn't really add up though. You know, what you're telling me doesn't add up. And the reason why it doesn't add up is because I just watched you spend $70 billion dollars. And I just watched you immediately after make this decision. I didn't believe it because for a company like Microsoft, knowing how big they are, knowing their wider business strategies, the strategies that they've implemented to become as successful as they are, as rich as they are, in all these different um, in all these different areas outside of gaming. What Phil was saying, what he was trying to say, I'm like, it read to me like he was trying to put out the fire, knowing that he's not going to be able to stop what's happening. But for now, we need to calm people down. Like, not even putting out the fire. It seemed to me like what Phil was doing was trying to let everybody know who is pointing at the fire. And the fire in this case is you're going third party, you're going multi-platform, exclusivity is going to completely die on your platform. And a lot of Xbox players are going to feel burned. It feels like Phil Spencer in that moment basically was like, rather than put the fire out, because I'm not allowed to put the fire out, I'm going to try to distract you and convince you of something that we all probably know isn't true. And that was in the name of, again, as Xbox players who were losing their minds at that moment, and the games media was losing it. So everybody was losing their mind. It's all in the name of, guys, this is happening, but you got to calm down. Okay, calm down, and let's just get through this. And that's why I think it's funny that it's like, of course, Phil's sitting here telling you nothing's off limits. He would absolutely have not said that in February of this year. And plans do change, but the difference I'm trying to explain here between looking at the way Microsoft has handled this transition versus the way Sony is handling their changes and their transitions, Sony does not give me any inclination whatsoever that they're basically trying to move to something but having a hard time doing so because the fan base is dragging them, is holding them back. You get what I'm saying? Like I don't believe for a second that the reason why Sony isn't putting Helldivers 2 on Xbox is because they're afraid of the reaction from their fan base. I don't believe that. The reason I say this is because, dude, that hasn't stopped. The reaction from the PlayStation fan base has not stopped Sony from doing anything they've done so far. It hasn't stopped them from doing anything. It didn't stop them from saying, we're going to start putting our games on PC. We're going to start porting them now, guys. We're going to do live service. We're going to put live service games on PC. The PlayStation fan base has been losing their minds. Not the entire fan base, but they've been very vocal about this. And Sony's just like, honestly, Sony hasn't said shit. They don't care. It's like, we're just doing what we're going to do. And we don't really care what you think. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say is that it's a situation that I think if Sony wanted to do it, they would. And I think when we look at Microsoft's situation, I think they do want to do it, but they've kind of struggled communication-wise, where I think that they want to do it all at once. They want to do it as quickly as they can, but they are kind of afraid that, the backlash might be too severe. So they've had to kind of slowly rip the Band-Aid off and try to make it seem like, oh, yeah, just who knows? I don't know. We'll see what happens. And then it's like, yeah, nothing's off limits. I feel like with Sony, it's not like they're not doing it because they still believe that the most valuable thing to their business model is the control that they have over their games for their consoles and trying to court people. I'm not saying that can't change. I think that absolutely can change. But the idea of Microsoft winning in ways that Sony couldn't, right? Like, that is interesting because it's like, yeah, if Microsoft goes full-blown third party, like, they're probably going to make, I mean, Phil Spencer said it himself. He's like, Xbox is in the healthiest position. It's in the best position it's ever been. And yeah, of course it is, because you're more multi-platform than you've ever been. You're more third party than you've ever been. You paid to get there, but now you're going to make all that money. You're going to make all that money. But you're going to struggle to sell consoles. You're going to struggle to convince people to invest in your ecosystem over somebody else's. And I think what people need to kind of understand here is that the philosophical messaging between Microsoft and Sony, the fundamental, maybe not philosophical, let's say the fundamental difference in messaging has not changed. Sony wants you here. Sony's message is, we want you here, and we want to be in control. And we want to be in control. We want to tell you where you're going to play, how you're going to play, and we're going to try to expand, but we're still going to try to ultimately funnel it back to us. And by us, we mean like our control. Microsoft's messaging is changing. Their fundamental messaging is changing. It has changed profoundly in the last year. That's the difference between Sony and Microsoft. Microsoft's messaging went from, when we all play, we all win, but we still want to be in control of that. We want everybody to play, and we want everybody to win, but through our ecosystem. That is changing, and that has changed rapidly in the last year. It's no longer through our ecosystem. It's just, yeah, we want everybody to play, and we want to make all the money off of it, and we don't really care as much anymore if we're in control of the ecosystems, the storefronts, and how you get funneled back to us. You know, think of it this way. When Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard and they bought Call of Duty, they bought a storefront. They bought the Call of Duty storefront. Every microtransaction that occurs in the Call of Duty storefront, that goes right into Microsoft's pockets. I mean, Sony gets a small cut, of course, and eventually Nintendo will get a small cut when it's on Switch. Steam gets a small cut, but that's a storefront that they bought. And that's a storefront that's going to perpetually make the money now. And I just saw there's like a rumor, it seems very true though, that apparently Microsoft is prepping like a Master Chief skin, Gears of War skins, and Doom skins for Black Ops 6. And I'm like, see, there you go. There you go. Hey, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. If we can't get you in our ecosystem, in our storefront, we will get the Call of Duty players in our storefront, and you will buy Microsoft stuff. But now it's just going to come in a completely different package. I just thought that was kind of funny, you know? But yeah, those will probably sell really well. But the fundamental message is not, it's not the same. It doesn't mean it can't change. It doesn't mean it can't be the same. If there's one thing people should identify with Microsoft, is what I just said. Look at how rapidly it's been. Less than 1 full year. In fact, I think in the next week, it'll be 1 full year. We went from one single sentence uttered by the Xbox CFO in November of last year, where he mentioned going more multi-platform. One sentence. And a couple outlets and a couple of individuals, myself included, picked up on that and said, that's interesting. Did he just say Microsoft is planning to go multi-plat or like third party? And at that moment, understandably so, people were like, no. Are you kidding me? Like, what are you talking about? No. You're not just going to see Xbox games on PlayStation. That's hopium, dude. Keep dreaming. 3 months later, 4 months later, 4 games were announced they're coming to PlayStation. And it was like, okay, well, you're just going to probably get those 4 games. You're not going to get like new games and stuff. You're not going to get like Halo and Gears. That's just never happening. And then here we are now. You know, here we are now. 6, 7 months later. And now Phil Spencer's telling you, like, yeah, you can expect anything. Like any one of our games, you can expect them on PlayStation at any time. All of this occurred in less than 1 year. All of that. So if there's something to be taken away from this, and I think PlayStation fans should extract this, a lot can change in a very, very short period of time. When the company strategy changes, you can expect that to be enacted very quickly, quicker than you would ever think, and it's very much possible. If you would have asked Xbox fans 2 years ago, do you think Sea of Thieves is going to be on PlayStation in a couple years' time? Do you think we could be hearing rumors of the next Halo being made for PlayStation as well? Maybe Gears of War, Forza coming to PlayStation, stuff like that. Starfield. They would have said no. Like, absolutely not. That's impossible. Microsoft would never do that. No chance. And here we are. It's still, there's still moves that have to be made, but I'm just saying, like, the same thing can happen to PlayStation if Sony decides that's the direction they want to go in. It's just that right now, I don't think that they've made that decision. Okay, you're saying it's the constant chatter from PlayStation fans that Xbox is failing. It reveals their fundamental misunderstanding of the situation, sets themselves up for disappointment when PlayStation pursues unexpected directions. Yeah, I mean, I think we're that, because I know what you're talking about. Like, some PlayStation fans who talk about Microsoft as, well, here's what I will say. Microsoft did fail. I think it's fair to say that. They failed their initial mission. But you just have to understand and be able to separate what their initial mission is to what their new mission is. Microsoft's initial mission was, we want to succeed in the console market and be the leader in the console market, and they failed. And that's okay. It happens, and through that failure, they decided, we're going to go on a new mission. So the new mission is, we want to be a major video game publisher that, if we can't continue to sustain our own ecosystem, our own storefronts, and they continue to shrink or lose market share, it's going to be okay. Because as we lose market share in our own in like the console ecosystem or the storefront ecosystem, we are gaining market share in the third-party publishing ecosystem. So it is kind of it is an end game. It is an end game play. Buying ABK was an end game play. Just like if they were to buy another publisher, it would solidify that end game play, in that when everything goes nuclear, right? If it ever does for Microsoft in gaming, where it's like your platform implodes on itself, the next generation of console launches and it's a complete dumpster fire. It fails to even sell half of what the Series X sold. It's okay. Like, it's all fine, because you can just walk away from it and win and you win by being a major third party publisher. You don't have as much control. You have to settle for, you know, giving like 30% away with pretty much everything you do, and you'll never get like the 100% rip, but you still, I mean, look at the biggest third party publishers out there. They could still win in huge, huge, huge ways. I just think that Sony is not given up yet. Sony is not willing to bet against their own ecosystem yet, because I think what Sony believes is they can have both. Microsoft wants both too, but it seems unlikely they're going to get that. But I think Sony really believes like they are in a better position to obtain both. It's just that the one thing that's hurting Sony right now is the same thing that was hurting Microsoft. See, this is where the conversation gets interesting. What do you mean? What do you mean? How's that possible? Like, elaborate. Well, here's what I mean. Sony established a foothold relatively organically. Relatively, not fully. They still bought studios, they still bought talent, they still made purchases, they still secured exclusives. So I'm not saying it's all organic, but when I use the term organic, what I really mean is they allowed it to grow over a long period of time. It wasn't like when Sony bought Naughty Dog, they just pumped out The Last of Us all of a sudden. No, it took time. You know, they had to build them up. Same thing with Sucker Punch, same thing with any of the studios they purchased. And what they had built took multiple decades. You know, it took multiple decades. It took us a lot of patience, a lot of time, and a lot of effort, and a lot of screw ups too to learn along the way. But what it ultimately culminated in is it all culminated to the PlayStation 4. The PlayStation 4 was the moment where Sony revealed, like, we did it. Like, this is the peak that we've been working towards with the PlayStation 4. A dedicated video game console, no frills, just plays games great, has a very competent, user-friendly UI, and is focused on just delivering great games from both third-party and our studios and partner studios. And then what really solidified it was Sony showing their own games, where it's like, listen, you might want to buy this console because it's convenient, and you know you might want to play your Call of Duty on it, your FIFA, your GTA, whatever. But here's our games, and they showed you some of the best made single player titles ever made that were just like, holy shit. You know, there really isn't any other publisher out here doing it quite like PlayStation is at this rate. There really isn't many publishers out here that are delivering this many single player, you know, cutting edge graphic looking games, narrative driven, cinematic at this rate. And Sony, you know, they showed throughout the PS5 generation, like, this is what we were building towards. And you look at the second half of the PS4 generation, I mean, that's legendary stuff right there, man, where it's like, I don't know that they could ever repeat that. But it took years. It took 3 generations of learning the ropes, forging their own path, the ups, the downs, and everything in between to finally get to that point. Now, when I say Sony's kind of in a similar position or in the same position that Microsoft was in, this is what I mean. Look at what Microsoft was trying to do, you know, for, I would say, the past 2 generations. I mean, pretty much since they started as well. Microsoft wanted to do the same thing Sony did, but what didn't work for them is they couldn't figure it out. They put less time into it, and they've made mistakes. One of the biggest criticisms that people have towards Microsoft is that they didn't like do their due diligence, and or they never really figured out how to cultivate talent and to let talent flourish to create the biggest and best games. They've had their moments, right? They had like some good moments. It's like it all came together, but it seemed like Microsoft didn't really learn from that and they didn't know how to build off that. And so they had these like kind of fleeting moments, and then we ended up getting something disastrous not too long after. And that's kind of the cycle that Xbox was stuck in pretty much the whole time, right? The beginning of the Xbox, it was okay for them to not achieve that because it was just the humble beginning. The 360, they did achieve that, but then as that generation went on, they got relaxed and they were like, well, we don't really have to worry now because look, we made it. And, we'll just stick with our Forza Halo Gears and we'll continue with third party and let's kind of lean towards a different audience now by trying to get in people's living rooms with TVs. And it bit them in the ass. When what they really should have been doing is doubling and tripling down on, listen, you guys just figured it out. Build off that. Like lock into that. Don't get distracted by the Kinect. Don't get distracted by, trying to be in people's living rooms for any reason other than giving them a way to play games in their living room. Don't fuck around with that shit. Focus on what got you here and build out on that. The problem with Microsoft is as Sony was doing just that, Microsoft wasn't. And so that's why we see the outcome that we saw with the PS5 and the Xbox Series generation, where one company, they were able to just build that momentum and show like this is what we've been building towards. But now the script is a little bit flipped here. And what flipped that script was Microsoft's money. So essentially, what Sony kind of realized is, all right, well, we've figured out how to dominate the console space, the console ecosystem. We figured out how to dominate the single player, narrative driven blockbuster game that drives not only console sales, but just unit sales in general. So what's next? Well, live service is what's next. Sony's looking at all their data and they're like, all right, well, hold on. What's the biggest gap we need to fill in here? Bro, you don't have any multiplayer live service. Look at how much money these games are making on your store. You're getting 30% from these games, but they're making so much more off of one game. So Sony, and I'll never forget this, never forget, Jim Ryan said it himself. He said it himself. And this is how when Jim Ryan told us this, that's when I kind of got a little bit worried internally, where I'm like, oh, that's not the PlayStation way. Jim Ryan, when he acquired Bungie, one of the things he said, and I'm paraphrasing what he said, but I know some of you guys remember this. He basically was like, listen, we spent years and years and years figuring out how to make single player games and becoming the best at it. And it's our expertise. We don't know what to do. Like, this is basically what saying we don't really know what to do with live service. So we're gonna spend the money to acquire the expertise. And Sony, like Jim Ryan and Sony, really thought that if they just bought Bungie, it's not even that Destiny's going to be, Destiny's going to be our live service game that succeeds. No, they bought Bungie thinking Bungie's going to teach us. They're going to be able to teach us, right? They're going to have that institutional knowledge that is invaluable, that we can spread to all of our studios, and then we can start making our successful games. So the strategy behind it is actually not that flawed. But where I think Jim Ryan fucked up, and I think where Sony fucked up as a whole, is that's not how you got to where you are with any of your successes. It's not. I mean, you've made some purchases here and there. Sure. You've done some, you've had your cunning moments here and there. That's fine. And that's normal. That's expected. But generally speaking, that's not really the Sony way of that's just not how they've done it. And I kind of understand how it's like, well, we don't really have the time. Like, we don't have the time to spend the next 10 years slowly trying to figure out live service. We need like some results in the next 2, 3, 4 years. We can't wait 12 years. And it's like, well, you might have like they placed their bet, man. And their bet was on institutional knowledge that they thought would be proved to be invaluable for live service. And we saw how this played out. It blew up in Sony's face. And they're now realizing, like, shit, we got to start leaning back more on our strengths now. Yeah, you mean the thing that you spent the last 30 years building up? Yes. Yes, you do need to continue to lean on that. But maybe now Sony realizes that we're going to have to basically if we want to succeed in live service, we have to do it the hard way. Because that's the way it's always been for Sony. They've never been able to do it the easy way. I don't know if they're just unlucky, but that's where Microsoft got one on them. Because Microsoft had that exact same problem with single-player games. Microsoft, why can't you make games as good as Sony? Why can't, like, this is what the conversation has been for so many years. Why can't you make games like God of War and The Last of Us, bro? Not like exactly like it, but games on that level. And it seems like maybe one every like 12 games. Like once a generation, maybe we get a game that good from Microsoft, and then they you know, it's now we're getting stuff like Crackdown 3. You know what I mean? What happened? And I remember when we saw the court documents where Microsoft literally had a team review The Last of Us 2, and their findings were, I kid you not, like their findings were like, yeah, we don't even know how they're doing this. Like, we have nothing even remotely on this level. Like, we're cooked. Like, basically, the findings were we're cooked, which is hilarious to think. But that's so interesting because you can see where Microsoft, they were like, all right, well, you know what? Listen. What makes the most money today? Is it successful single-player games or successful live service games? Easy. Successful live service games. That's what makes the most money today in 2024 or, you know, in like 2022, 2023. You know, past couple years, past like 5 years, like that's maybe even longer. That's what makes the most money. Okay. Do we have successful live service games? Well, we have Forza. Halo didn't really, you know, Halo didn't do what it was supposed to do. I don't know. They have Minecraft. I mean, they bought Minecraft in 2014. Then that probably is what, like, well, hey, we do have Minecraft. Did we make that? No. What did we do? We bought it, but we've been profiting off it ever since. When Microsoft made the decision to buy ABK, it was to do exactly what Sony couldn't. In the same way that Sony comes out and they flex The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2, and they say, Microsoft, you can't do this. You can't do this. And you can't buy this either. Microsoft basically turns and says, you're right. We can't do that, nor can we buy it. But you know what we can do? We can buy Call of Duty. And you can't do that, Sony. And Sony, I think they had that realization in the last 2 years that, oh fuck, we can't do that. Shit, we can't do that. So it's interesting to have this conversation because I think Sony and Microsoft fundamentally at the end of the day do have the same desire, and that is they want to be as profitable as possible. But Sony's philosophy in winning, quote unquote winning, and being the market leader and being as profitable as possible, you know, you do need to be a market leader to be the most profitable, right? Usually that's how it goes. Sony's philosophy to that up until this point has always been like, you got to take the long way, man. Like you got to take the long way. You can make some purchases and you can make some strategic buys, yes, but it's really about being able to find the diamonds in the rough and put the necessary elbow grease, if you will, into polishing those diamonds and really getting them to where they can shine. You can go like buying the diamond has always been an option. Buying the diamond has always the very shiny, beautiful diamond has always been the option that's there. But Sony is not Microsoft. They are not Apple, right? They're not Google. Like they can't just the thing about buying those diamonds that are already in their prime and peaked, they're unbelievably expensive. It's risky in and of itself because it's like, well, how are we going to justify this purchase? It's like, well, that's the position that and see that's the thing is like people who think that Microsoft automatically won, it's not that simple. Things I've tried to explain to people can go poorly in the end for Microsoft, but it's just that the amount of money they spent to secure it would be like if Sony bought GTA. And it's like not possible realistically. But like let's just look at it as Sony was a little like richer than they actually are. Okay? And they were like, "You know what? Fuck it. We're buying GTA. We're buying Take-Two and we're buying them for GTA. That's why we're buying them. And we're that's our game. Not making it exclusive, but we're buying GTA. We are going to own GTA." What it does is okay, you just lost. You just spent an ungodly amount of money on this. Why? And the reason would be because, well, listen, we can't guarantee, there's no guarantee that in the end the purchase could go sour and go bad. But what you at least know, what Sony at least knows is for at least like the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to be fine. GTA 6 is coming. GTA 6 is going to be successful. GTA Online 2 is going to be a mass hit. They don't know what happens beyond that. They don't know what the future of the Grand Theft Auto series holds. They don't know what the future of the Red Dead series holds. But they do know that at least for the next, like, I would say it's going to be longer than 5 years. For at least the next 7 to 10 years, you're good. Oh, yeah, and NBA 2K. Yeah, forgot that one, right? So you're good. You're good. You're good for the foreseeable future. But that doesn't mean that it couldn't turn to shit. And if it turns to shit, it will end you, basically. Because all the money you're going to be making off of GTA for the next 7 to 10 years and NBA 2K, all that money, it's going to look great to the fucking shareholders. But the reality is that money is going to, all the money that's coming back is you got to make up for what you spent first. And that's going to take many, many years. So it's a long-term investment, man. That's what I'm trying to say. And Sony didn't make a long-term investment. And I think that was Jim Ryan's biggest mistake. Jim Ryan, I can tell you now that it's like a post-mortem, he rushed the live service shit. He rushed that like I've never seen an executive rush live service in my life, dude. He was like, guys, we're going to have like 12 live service games by 2026. And like 2 or 3 of them are going to be mega hits. And that shit was so rushed that it was just like, it was a complete train wreck, you know? And Helldivers 2 as of right now is the only good thing that came out of it. And that was coming either way. That's the greatest irony of all, dude. That's the greatest irony of all. Helldivers 2 was coming either way. They could have, they would have, if they never bought Bungie, if they never bought Firewalk, if they never bought Haven, if they never told Naughty Dog to make a Last of Us, they were still gonna get Helldivers 2. Insanity. But yeah, Jim Ryan rushed that shit, and his the rushed investment and the rushed production, I think, had catastrophic results You could say Microsoft rushed their acquisition. They did because they wanted to get a move on, obviously. But I think what people don't quite realize is that if Call of Duty fails in the next 6 or 7 years, that could end Xbox. I'm not saying it will, but it could. Like, that's the risk. Microsoft is taking on the risk. Let me figure out how to word this to make the most sense. Microsoft hedged their bets on their ability to sustain. Sony hedged their bets on their ability to extract knowledge and talent that is ironclad. Sony failed much quicker because, well, think about it. Why did you choose to place your bet on ironclad knowledge and experience? Well, because if we take that and immediately inject it into the things we're doing now, it will make the things we're doing now successful. And did that work? No, it did not. It did not. The opposite happened. And what Sony quickly found out is, holy shit, Bungie doesn't even know what they're doing. That's like that's the craziest part of all, dude. Like, I think Jim Ryan had this like in his head, he had like this amazing plan. But he just, there was a complete oversight of like, but what if they don't actually, what if they're not nearly as good as you think they are? What then? And that's where Microsoft also paid for the institutional knowledge that Activision Blizzard has, that Treyarch, Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, they paid for that too. Absolutely. They paid for that as well. But they also paid for something that was already not just sustainable, but in a very, very, very strong position. So what Microsoft needs to focus on now for the next 10 years and beyond with Activision Blizzard and with Call of Duty, and this applies to even, you could extend this to Bethesda as well, but Bethesda seems like they're already starting to go downhill in some ways. But specifically with Call of Duty, Microsoft's they understand that the only way this acquisition works out in the end for you is if you can sustain this shit when things start, when the moments, because they're not, Call of Duty's fine now. Black Ops 6. Call of Duty is going to be fine next year. It's going to be another Black Ops game. After that, I bet you it's going to be Modern Warfare 4. But let's look beyond Modern Warfare 4. See, this is where things get kind of important, because it's like, all right, well, what if they do, by year 4 or 5, what if they do start to, like Call of Duty starts to kind of get to this point where it's like, we're losing players, and we're not making as much money this time around. Guys, we need to. I'm just saying, at some point, Call of Duty is going to need to do something, and who knows? Maybe Microsoft won't do anything. They'll be like, Infinity Ward, Treyarch, please figure it out, and they will figure it out. But this almost happened to Call of Duty with the jetpack era. Do you guys remember? But Black Ops 25, yeah, we're gonna get there. This almost happened with the jetpack era of Call of Duty, where it was like, advanced warfare, and then I remember like Infinite Warfare. It was like, oh my god, we're losing it. Like, we're losing our grip. Like, Call of Duty, and there was Ghosts, there's Advanced Warfare. Black Ops 3 was good. I think Black Ops 3 kind of saved it. But then Infinite Warfare almost tanked it. And you could tell, like, they were starting to fucking struggle. We're like, oh my God, what do we do? Like, we got to do something, because this isn't working anymore. Like, we're still getting good sales. We're still making money, but it's starting to slowly go down. because we're people are not into the jetpack things anymore. And that's when Modern Warfare 2019 came in. They're like, I got it. Let's reboot everything. Let's modernize the mechanics and all that. And that's still what they're going with, and it's still working. But the day's gonna come where they're gonna have to refresh it again. And that's what I'm gonna be so interested in seeing is like Microsoft. I can't wait to see how you handle that, because that's going to be make or break for you. Like truly, that's going to be make or break for your gaming business. But who knows? Maybe by the time they do that, they would have already acquired Take-Two Interactive. So if Call of Duty falls, it's all right. We got GTA now. Anyway, I don't know, man. This is just the stream of consciousness that I'm having right now, and it's just so infinitely fascinating to me to see what's going on with these two companies and these two businesses. They really are in some, I would say, they are both in positions right now that just even 4 years ago we would have never in a million years predicted that this is what we'd be looking at. And this has been the most unsure, volatile, and frankly chaotic generation I think we've ever seen. And it's ironic because the consoles themselves are not the chaotic thing. The consoles themselves, what they do, what they offer, it's all pretty standard, like, yeah. But everything surrounding it has just been pure fucking chaos and just all over the place. And that's fascinating to me. It's fascinating because it's like, if you look back at previous generations, like, has shit like this on this level, on this scale, has anything like this ever occurred? I don't think so. I don't think so. Last generation, like, the biggest thing we saw was like Microsoft bought Minecraft. So yeah, that's kind of crazy, I guess, but not that crazy. What if I told you next gen they're going to buy Activision Blizzard and Bethesda? See what I'm saying? Like the jump, the leap there. It's like, hey, you see that E3 2016 presentation? You got Spider-Man, you got Days Gone, you got God of War, you got Final Fantasy VII Remake, you got all this shit, right? Got Horizon Zero Dawn, Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us Part 2. Oh my God. Yeah, next generation, Sony's going to go crazy with live. They're going to make 12 live service games. And some of them are going to, like, wait until you see what some of them look like. You get what I'm saying? Like, the leaps that we've seen, it's like so unpredictable. Truly. All right. Perfect Image, you're saying with Black Ops 6, I didn't like the zombies embedded in the storyline. Yeah, they're listening to you, Perfect Image. They're like, we know that guy, Perfect Image, definitely doesn't like zombies. He's tired of zombies. So what should we do? Let's put some zombies in the story for Call of Duty Black Ops 6. All right. Okay, we're almost at the 2-hour mark, so probably wrap it up in a couple minutes. That's my talk for today, guys. All right. Let me go see if I've missed anything with all my ranting. Okay. Nope. Looks like nothing came out. Resident Evil 9 leak reveals new gameplay details from 2 closed playtests. Yo, what? A new Resident Evil 9 rumor surfaced online, revealing some gameplay details from 2 playtests featuring Jill and Leon. A mysterious new setting, new enemies such as the Goat Man. Wait, no, this isn't real. This was debunked. The Goat Man. I could have. Wasn't this just debunked recently? Or am I wrong? Could have swore it was debunked. And Steven Leon, bro, I'm sorry, I'm late. I'm like sitting here reading something. Steven Leon comes in and drops another 10 bomb for you guys. Steven, man, thank you so much for the continued support, bro, with the memberships. That brings us up to 20. So guys, we are now just 5 memberships away. Okay, we're a single 5 bomb or 5 individual memberships away from feeding the beast. I have a boss here. Let me see. Oh, I see Big MP got gifted. So people are getting gifted, it seems. But I don't know if it's... Yeah, I still see some people saying they're still not getting gifted. Damn. And Wabu Dude comes in and drops a single. Wabu Dude brings us up to 21. So thank you for that, man. Let me update it. So 4 more. 4 more. We can say we hit the goal today. And we can feed the beast and the Micro Panther before we head out. See if we can get there. And there we go. Stupid iPad won't allow you to gift memberships. Yeah, people on iOS cannot gift memberships. I don't know when that's ever going to change. And Steven does it. Bro, Steven, thank you, man. Steven Leon, the legend. The legend. He comes in. He drops the 5 bomb. He says boss needs the treats. Yeah, I very much appreciate it, Steven. You've been dropping a lot of gifts, man, and I just want to say I really, really appreciate that support, bro. Anybody who drops membership gifts or any super chats, it means a lot. It does. So there we go. That brings us up to 26. Let me update the goal. And in just a moment, we'll give Boss his treats and Luna as well. Oh my God. They're both sitting there staring at me like, is it time? I must be saying words that they're understanding, or like they now understand when I say like it's time to feed the beast or whatever, or treats. Yep, he understands it. PlayStation Pete, you're saying today is my 57th birthday. Updated my modern router internet speed for Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Should be getting my 30th anniversary pro on November 22nd. Damn, PlayStation Pete. Well, happy birthday, man. Yeah, you got to tell me how you end up enjoying the 30th anniversary pro, dude, because still a little bit jealous of that. But that's great, man. That's great. New router for Black Ops 6. He's trying to go on those kill streaks. All right. It's time to feed them.
Boss, do you read me? It's time to feed the beast.
No fighting. No fighting. Oh, shit, dude. Boss is going to be pissed. All right. Luna first, boss. All right. She claimed it first. We'll take turns, okay? Oh, man. He's going to end up fighting her. Luna, do you think you could just like get off and we could do boss first and then we could give you your treats? Because I'm pretty sure he's gonna try to violently attack you if I give you the treats first. Here, here's what we'll do. Couple down here. There you go, Luna. Boss, I don't know, man. He doesn't play around when it comes to his treats. He doesn't play around. MBG, do you think PlayStation will announce something on the 30th anniversary? No, I thought that they were going to do, we talked about it at the beginning of the stream. I thought that they were going to do like a show or a state of play, but it seems like they don't have plans to do that, according to Jeff Grubb. So I think what we will see are some announcements at the Game Awards, though. Your PC still down. Your AIO killed your PC. This is what you run into when you go PC. What games am I playing and enjoying now? I've been still playing some Call of Duty. I'm like trying to do the Call of Duty Zombies Easter egg with one of my friends, but I've also been playing some Until Dawn. I've been playing some Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, and a little bit of Astrobot still too. I went back yesterday and I was playing some of the speed trials, but I've also been playing Astrobot with my son. He's been playing a lot of it. He's been playing that a lot lately, and he likes to play on my name as well. I noticed. He always asks me if he can play on my name because I have everything unlocked, and he likes to change his costumes and stuff. So that's basically what I've been playing right now. MBG Junior the gamer, yeah, he's super into Astrobot, man. Like, you know, one of the things he asked for Christmas, no joke, he is the Astrobot DualSense. So gonna have to make that happen. All right, Luna, it's time for Boss to get his treats. Dude, Boss is getting mad. He's starting to growl. Yeah, I gotta say, man, my son's really getting into gaming like a lot quicker than I thought he would. Like, not maybe not like as quickly as I expected, but he's like deeper into it than I would have expected. And I think it's pretty awesome, man. It's great. He's really enjoying gaming, and he's getting pretty good at it too. All right, Luna, come on. Come on. I think Luna's trying to tell Boss something right now, man. Has your 3-year-old son beat Bloodborne yet? Not yet. No, not yet. I'm thinking maybe next year he'll be ready. Give him a year. Yeah. You just sent your OG PS5 out to your friend's boy with a free copy of Astrobot packed in. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Not sure if their tech support is clueless. Took me 3 holds for the wrong department. Steven, you're saying your son's gaming setup is better than yours next year. Building 2 AM5 PCs, have all the components. Yeah, I'll be interested to see how my son grows into gaming. Like, if he's going to as he gets older. Like, I'm sure he's going to be interested in the Switch too. He does have some interest in Xbox, not a lot, but he was looking at like one of the holiday catalogs recently, and you know they have the section with games, and like they have the pictures of all the games, all the consoles and everything, and he was like, I want a PlayStation Xbox, and he thought it was the funniest thing, and I was like laughing. I'm like, yeah. He's like, there needs to be a PlayStation Xbox. He wasn't talking like as clearly as that, but that's basically what he was communicating, and I just thought it was really funny. And he was like blown away by the black DualSense that they were showing. He's like, there's a black DualSense, and I had to show him the Astrobot DualSense. I'm like, you think that's crazy? Wait till you see this, son. And then I showed him the Astrobot DualSense, and he's like, oh my God, I need it. Your son started at 5, never looked back. Yeah. The X station. All right, boss, she's gone. You ready? Boss. Come on. Come on. You're good. Why is he acting all scared? Come on. She's not up there. She's not up there anymore. I think he thinks she's up there. She's not up here. Pretty soon, PlayStation will have more future Xbox games. That's going to be your son's PlayStation Xbox. Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, that is true. There you go, boss. I knew he'd make it up. Ancient artifact Concord controller. I love the idea of it being an ancient artifact. Boss has got, yeah, Luna's got boss whipped into place. She does. She's not afraid of him, man. I've seen him try to like, flex on her and scare her, and she's just like, I mean, sometimes she'll like run away, but it's definitely not quick. Like, she's just like, all right, whatever. I guess I'll go. But she doesn't seem to have much fear. She seems afraid of me, though, for some reason. Not all the time, but sometimes Luna seems afraid of me. And I don't know why. Like, maybe it's just because I'm so much bigger than her or whatever. But, like, I'll just go up to her and I'll try to, like, pet her. And she'll just, like, freak out. I'm like, I don't get it. What did I do? Sonic is now more successful than Final Fantasy. I don't think I've ever seen two franchises go so far in opposite directions. Yeah, what's going on out here, Josh? I don't know. Captain Hook says, I'm trying to complete Silent Hill 2 Remake. Can only do 2 hours max per session. It's horrifying. I forgot how oppressive this game feels. It's a masterpiece. Yeah, dude. It does. It is a heavy game. I love that description. It's an oppressive game. It really is. Silent Hill 2 Remake, man. Fantastic. Some of the interiors. I mean, the town itself looks amazing. The environments look amazing. But I also love when you go into a lot of the apartment buildings. It's just something so creepy about them, man. But yeah, the game's longer than you would think. I will say, Silent Hill 2 Remake is it's a longer game than you would have thought. The sound design, yeah, absolutely, Captain Hook. Yeah, I think Silent Hill 2 Remake is the best sounding game. It's one of the best looking games I played all year. It's just one of the best games I played all year. But sound wise, I think it wins hands down. Just the sound effects, the music. Very, very disturbing. How would I rate Silent Hill 2? I give it like I mean, honestly, man, I feel like it's like a 10 out of 10. Truthfully. I mean, it really is like that good. Maybe I would drop it to like a 9 or 9.5 just because I feel like maybe in some ways they did like I did get the sense when playing it that they tried to extend the playtime. Like they wanted it to feel a little bit longer. They were maybe a little bit afraid of it. If you could complete it in like 11 or 12 hours, some people might feel like, oh, it's not worth it's not worth the money or whatever. But yeah, man, it's a masterpiece. Mr. B, you're 67% finished Silent Hill 2. You're saying it's a solid 9, but I'll allow a 10. I mean, it's one of the best horror games ever made already, and just to see it brought up so well. It's widely known many bought a PS2 as a DVD player due to its affordable price point. That is true. Yeah. Steven, you're saying the low attention span, please don't want to play drawn out games. And or you're saying, I guess players don't want to play drawn out games, instant play, Fortnite killed everything. I mean, I noticed my attention span has gotten worse ever since I've basically like started using Twitter, you know? But yeah, I mean, in some of the younger generation, it's real bad, man. I gotta have like 5 things happening at one time. The only thing you ding it for is the performance kind of drops during boss fights and when there's a ton of enemies on screen. Yeah, I did notice that too. It was less noticeable, I think, for me than most people, just because I don't know. I tend to not notice frame drops unless they're like super severe. I'm talking like 15 plus frames like instantly. Then I'll notice it. But yeah, I'm sure there were times where I was playing and like the performance was dropping, but I was just too kind of immersed in the gameplay to notice, which is kind of funny to think because like I feel like sometimes we put such a big emphasis on like performance, but I feel like when you're really like immersed in a game and playing it, you probably don't notice it that much, not as much as you would think. F you PS5 Pro. Yeah, I don't know if there's what's going on with Silent Hill 2 remake. Is that game PS5 Pro enhanced or what? Where are we at time-wise, by the way? Oh shit, okay. It is so it's already enhanced. I mean, it says it in the store. It says PS5 Pro enhanced, but did they put the patch out for it yet? Because I don't know, man. I haven't heard like anything about what it does. This is where we need Digital Foundry to come in, All right. Let's see. Well, guys, I think this might be a good place to end the stream. Yesterday, I definitely went over time. I went way too long. I feel like some of these streams have been, I've been getting a bit over redundant with my topics and some of the directions I go in sometimes. And so we're almost at the 2 hour and 15-minute mark. And I think generally speaking, I think that was pretty good. It's just it's unfortunate that like one of the main topics we talked about was it was already shut down, That doesn't happen that often, but at least for now, it's shut down. So seems like Sony's not going to be doing an event of any kind in December, but yeah. I still have high hopes for the Game Awards. Oh, yeah, you know what? You're right. I did say that. Members Lounge. Shit. All right, we could do a Members Lounge for a little bit. That's where we'll do the DEI talk. Hey, Luna, stop that. We could do a Members Lounge for a little bit. All right, so guys, if you are a member, yeah, I'm losing, dude. I'm losing track of the days. This is what happens when you stream day in and day out. I'm losing track of everything. All right. So listen, if you are a channel member, we will be moving over to the members lounge. Okay. So we're gonna do that right now. And before I go, I want to thank everybody for showing up today, hanging out, and also want to thank you guys for the direct support. Steven, thank you for dropping so many membership gifts, and to everybody else. I know we got a couple of 5 bombs in there as well. Really appreciate it. Means a lot. And to anybody who dropped a super chat, thank you so much for the support. So, also want to give a shout out to Devil Shooter. Okay, Devil Shooter does the timestamps. Really appreciate it. If you see him in the comments, show him some love, show him some thanks. But yeah, that does it. All right. Members Lounge is coming up. I'll see you guys over there. And to everybody else, I will catch you in the next stream. So until next time, guys, take care.